Hello, fine folks, and welcome to Booghy Plays. Today I'm not playing. I'm playing with questions, as I say when I do these interviews. My guest today is. I'm trying to not make a very long introductions, but he is one of the most revered illustrators and artists on this channel. We do not stop talking about him or his artwork when we have his illustrations, when we have the chance of playing a game that he illustrated. He was the illustrator of the game that practically established board gaming as a hobby. And I am very, very happy to have him today on an interview. So he has done. Oh, hello, Radu. I'm glad you're here, and you do not want to miss it for the world. I'm very, very happy to have today with me and be able to do this interview, Mr. Michael Menzel. Welcome, Michael, to Booghy Plays.
Hi. Hello.
Hope you're feeling today. Where do you live now in Germany?
It's a small town. It's close to Essen, so I don't have a very far ride to go to the fair each year.
I see. So is it? I don't know. Is it a beautiful day? Is it?
Well, kind of cloudy, but yeah, it's fine.
So it's a good day to stay at home and do an interview, or something else. As I said in the intro, we here at Booghy Plays, we really like what we do. So what you do. So it is a huge honor to have you here. So hopefully, I welcome you on our as we call it. On these internet, on these virtual comfortable chairs, hopefully, and hopefully you're gonna have a fun ride. We're going to start with the first part of the interview, as I told you, and we're gonna go way back. Mr. Did I pronounce it correct, Michael?
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. My first question, and we're gonna go a long way back. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in also a small town called Mörs, and and I grew up there.
Where is it? What part of Germany is?
Nordrhein-Westfalen. It's the same area as Essen, Düsseldorf, Cologne, this kind of area.
I see. So you are practically around where you live now. It's very close
Yes.
to Essen, that area. And what were your parents' professions?
Um, my mother was I actually don't know. She worked in a supermarket, and my father did something similar. But yeah, that's almost what they did. I don't know if is it going to be super personal, whatever questions might come around, because I'm not too comfort to share very personal stuff, and work-wise, it's all fine, but my mother and my father,
No.
it's
We
a
won't
bit
go.
too personal for me, actually.
No,
Sorry.
we won't go that deep.
Okay.
But we're trying to establish a bit the roots of the artist. Let's say how the road of becoming who you are went. Not going to put too personal on your parents and things like that. Just smaller things, smaller details, as we'd say. Um,
Okay. I hope it's fine. I just tell you if I don't like to answer. Okay. Okay.
yes. And we go long like back, and we try to make these trips into your childhood, because childhood shapes a person one way or another. And I wanted to ask you, how was your childhood in the small in the small area where you grow up?
Well, I'd say that's pretty much the same for me. I really don't want to talk about my childhood. Yeah, that's something I wouldn't want to share. Sorry.
uh, is I wanted to talk more. Was it a simple, a normal one, a simple? I mean, did you? Because what I'm trying to establish, what I'm trying to get to, was towards the. Did you find drawing since you were a child, or you found it later in life? Um,
No, that was right from the beginning. I remember that I painted pictures of Captain Future and stuff, and people were astonished by, that some details were correct. But I just thought, yeah, well, it looks like that, so I'm definitely going to paint it that way. But yeah, that was drawing was. I can't remember a time where I didn't like to draw. So yeah, that was there right from the start.
So since did you practically start drawing since you remember walking or being very little?
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere around there. No, there are pictures of me very young, sitting at a desk drawing, and my mother kept all those pictures. So yeah, that goes very.
Since the
I'm doing,
beginning.
yeah, practically from the start.
And did you have any other interests in school, or drawing was your main attraction? Let's call it like that.
Yeah, yeah, possibly I would have an interest in mathematics, for example, but I simply wasn't good enough. So if I had not that big of a choice, So when drawing is the only thing you can, you stick with it. So yeah, um, there were no really other interests. Even sports, I wasn't good at sports as well. So no, drawing was the only thing I could do. Yeah.
Um, could we talk a little bit about playing games in your childhood? Did you play? Did you find board games? Were board games a thing when you were a child?
Very few. I came to board games in my adult life as an illustrator for board games. So when as a kid we didn't play board games. I remember some chess probably, or um, there was some marketing game of Star Wars with a Death Star, but that was nothing that could get you really hooked to board
To
games.
board games.
And so, yeah, no,
I
board
see.
games became a part of my life
Later,
much later. Yeah.
much later. Yeah. So that's this is the most, let's say, I would touch to your. So you didn't, because interviewing a lot of every journey is so different. There are talking with different people from the industry. Some were playing with their parents. Some found with with other kids they played. Sometimes it's not the same road. It's not the same road for everyone.
Yeah, and how is it with you? Do you illustrate as well?
No,
Because you
no,
interview illustrators.
no,
Are
no.
you an artist?
I am a film director. Yes, this is my main job. Yeah. because I interview also designers. Interview also. I try to interview also publishers. But yeah, I'm a photographer and a film director. This is what I let's say what I do. Oh, I think something happened. The internet failed us one way or the other. Wait a second. Oh, it stopped for a little while. Let me call again. Okay. Sorry for this. This is unexpected. Let's call again. Oh, sorry for this. This is something which I hope I. Let's pause for a little and then we'll go back in a second. And we should be on right now, hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully.
I don't remember where we stopped. So you have to get us back on track.
Yeah. So you were asking me what I do. I said I'm a film director and I'm a photographer. These are my artisty things.
Okay.
Hello, Mishu, Mihai. This is where my let's say background comes from, and how I can somehow speak with illustrators and artists. I have studied, as we all do in film school, a lot of paintings and art and things like that, as it should be in film school. So we were talking a little bit about games and the fact that you said that you didn't discover games, you discovered later in your life.
Yeah.
And what did did you go to high school in the same area that you did? And in high school, again, was it a high school where it was towards drawing, towards art, towards? It was an artistic one, or it was a normal where you studied maths and things like that?
Yeah, the usual school form here in Germany, and no. I had a good teacher for art, and he supported me, but no, but nothing special.
Nothing special. Um, by now, by high school, did you think I kind of like this? I think I would like to do more with it, or it was still were you playing with it?
I really don't remember it that way. I remember that there were too many of us for not enough jobs, so um, I didn't feel like I could choose anything. I was happy to get a job, and yeah, so and I didn't think that I could make a living out of it. That yeah, that was. I don't think I dreamt that big.
That big, yeah. So and from high school, uh, again, no board games in that period of your lives. What are you interested in? Maybe I don't know, something else which was arty. Maybe films. Maybe did you study?
Yeah, yeah, comic books and movies and Batman and all that kind of stuff. Spider-Man interested me, but yeah, just from the drawing aspect. But yeah, no board games at that time.
From then on, you went to, I suppose, to university. You went to an art university, or
No, I
no?
didn't went to a university. I haven't studied. Um,
No.
so
It's not bad.
um,
It's like I
yeah,
said, it's different
it's
journey for everyone.
yeah. It is sure. No, I wanted to become a thatcher. Um, and this art teacher told me, "You're crazy. You're going to die in a few weeks because you fell from the roof or whatever and fall from the roof." So, and he told me that there was some sort of school where you could be, I don't know the translation for it, but it was like an apprenticeship for graphic design. But you're not a fully trained graphic designer in the end. You're just ready to maybe study graphic design when you're finished with that sort of
With the
school. And because I had no other choice, I said, "Yeah, okay, that's better than falling off the roof." So I do this, and
and
I did this, and that school was very good actually, not because of its rank, but because of there were individual good teachers. There was a teacher for drawing, and she really knew what she did, and yeah, she told me what you need to know to that you can really draw, that you have can draw people or
yeah,
flowers or
yeah, yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and
The technical part of
the
the
technical part,
art.
she
Yeah.
she told me. Until then, drawing was like, gambling. Do I get the proportions right or not this time? How long will it take until I get it right? And she told me how to get it right from the start.
Yeah, because yeah, it's important. Every art has its technical part, and if you have the, as you said, if you have good teachers, you can. No one will make you an artist in this life.
Mm.
That's up to you. But you can find people who can create that basis, which helps you uh, create yourself the artist that you think you can be in the end. And what did you end up practically? You did the school, you started drawing probably more and more. What did you start working? What did you do for work?
Um, yeah, we have or we had at this time in Germany some social life, social year that everyone has to do instead of the military. That was what I did after school. And then my wife went pregnant, so so I had to find a job. And an old friend of mine from this art school, he worked at a computer games developer studio, and he said, okay, then we can always use people who can draw. And thanks to him, I was there to paint texturing, to make textures for 3D models, and yeah, that was my first job.
So you entered into video games
Mhm.
artwork,
Yeah,
illustration artwork, or no feeling, call it whatever you want.
yeah.
But your video practically you went into the video because practically. At that point, what was in what year was that? Around what year?
Must have been 1998.
1990.
That's where my son is born, and that's where I started in that design studio or computer developer studio. And yeah, I made the textures, the skin for the 3D models, which at that point where you could use not that sophisticated 3D
Yeah,
models, you had to paint a lot. If you have a building, front of a building, you had to paint the windows because they could not have been modeled. That would have been too many polygons at that time. So this had to be painted. So it was like, creating some depth where there wasn't actually.
I see. So you said that after you did that art school, those I don't know how long was. Did you do any more school no, that was the only thing that you then you went and you entered and you practically your school was by a lot of your school was by doing. uh,
Yes, yes. That's it. Before, when I started at the firm, I didn't have any experience with Photoshop, and I just had to learn from my colleagues and see what they did, and try to, yeah,
yeah.
catch up.
And then did you in those times learn how um, to create. Sorry, I wanted to ask you: did you paint manually or only with or were you interested in computer painting, or how did you work back then, as in your spare time, let's say?
Yeah, I came from drawing with pencils and colors and some oil. But at that firm, that company, I learned how to draw with Photoshop and use a tablet. And yeah, that's where I learned how to digitally paint.
I see. Um, so, so you're talking about 98. When did you meet, when did you discover modern board games? Or how was because Settlers of Catan appeared in 95, if I'm not wrong. And you are credited for some of the art on Settlers of Catan. Am I wrong?
Oh, you're right, but I just did the repaint in 2010, the first repaint. So originally the illustrations were done by Franz Vohwinkel,
Uh,
German illustrator,
yes, yeah.
and yeah, I think he did an amazing job. And that was the first time I came in touch with board games. Even it was at that company, because this company was we had an assignment for Starfarers of Catan,
Yeah.
so the space version of it, and we were chosen to do the computer game version of it, and that was the first time I encountered Catan, and it was the first time I met Klaus Teuber, and 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 I remember having a friend over there, and we looked at the board game Starfarers of Catan, and I envied Franz Vohwinkel for the possibilities, to paint a board game, and we said, well, that's got to be a dream job, because at that time, illustrating in a computer design studio, it was all teamwork, and not I don't think it's a bad thing, but if, for example, there was a spaceship we did, there were so many men working on that spaceship. They modeled, they programmed, they
Yeah, yeah.
edited it, and I just did, that one piece of metal at the end of the ship. That was the thing I contributed to that spaceship. So to me, it felt like a dream, having a box where you painted everything, and you were responsible for its design. So yeah, I envied Franz Vohwinkel for that opportunity, and I never thought that I could be uh,
I
able
see.
to do that.
And until 2010, did you ever encounter board games in one form or another? Have you
Mm.
have?
No, I worked at that developer studio, computer game developer studio, and until they crashed, they The company went broke, and after that I got self-employed and I tried wall paintings and tried to educate other people in Photoshop and nothing worked out. And just by accident I met Peter Neugebauer, who's also a friend of Klaus Teuber, and I met him in a board game shop, and just by accident, and I was so surprised to meet him again. It was after a year or a half a year after the company got broke, and I was so surprised, and I asked him if he has a job for me, and he did. It's completely complete madness because it's all an accident, and
But so when did the company go bust?
um,
And about
Well, I, it must have been 2003. At the beginning of 2003, the company crashed, and yeah, and half a year later, I met Peter Neugebauer, and
what
yeah,
what were you doing in a board game shop?
I was there with a friend, and I don't really know what we did there, but it's a very nice shop here in Duisburg, and they have all kinds of toys and stuff. And I remember we were standing in front of those boxes, and there were games that Peter designed as the designer, and we talked about him. Then he stood right behind us. So that was, yeah, it was. If I tell the story today, I think it's too much of a coincidence, but that's how it was. And yeah, as I said, I was surprised to see him again, and I just asked if he had a job, and he had a small card game that he was designing for Cosmos at that time, and they needed an illustrator, and I said yes, and he said, yeah, it's a manga theme. I never painted anything
In
in
Midgard.
manga before. Yeah, so it was like, yeah, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so I went to the library and tried to learn manga style in a weekend, and
Okay, okay, manga. Okay,
yeah,
in manga. Okay, I understood Midgard. Okay,
no,
so
no, it's
manga.
the
Yeah,
Japanese style,
Japanese
and
style. Yeah.
yeah, and I never did anything with that before, so I tried to learn that on a weekend, which I yeah, kind of did, and and I got this assignment, and while I was doing that, I realized that this is a dream job, and I did everything to honor this wonderful coincidence and try to get more of it, and that's what I really worked hard for.
Okay, sorry for that. I have realized something which I needed to change. Okay, so that was your first assignment practically.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then I had to play the game before I illustrate it. I still do. That I try
that
to
yeah,
play
yeah.
every board
That's
game I illustrate before I do it, and that's when I found out that board games are fun. And I like playing them. Uh, but that was just because of the job.
so you are a gamer also. You are also a gamer, not only an illustrator, practically. Because
Yes.
there are people who don't play the games that they illustrate. They just illustrate those games.
Yeah, it's great if they can do it that way, and it's perfect. For me, it wouldn't work because I do feel like every board game has its very specialities. The reason why it is has a reason why it is published because it has some
Something special,
origin,
yeah.
yeah, some idea that hasn't been done before, and to honor that idea, I do think I have to play it first, so that I can get a feeling for the game, and know how it plays and what is important for the editors and the designers. And that's something you don't get, in my opinion, you don't get, or I do not get it from a rule, just reading a rule. I really have to play it and see how it feels.
Okay, so practically that was your first game played. The first game you illustrated was your first game ever played.
Yeah, I've probably played some other games before, but not, not that it really, uh,
Yeah, but
that I can think of. Yeah.
I was thinking about the modern ones, not necessarily chess or different card games, classical card games. Let's call it like that.
Yeah.
Um, so today, what kind of a player are you?
Well, mostly I still play prototypes, before I illustrate them, or since I became a designer myself, I play a lot of prototypes. And but I got really hooked by the Lord of the Rings game from Rainer Knizia. Was published
Oh, long time ago.
a
Yeah,
long, long time ago with Cosmos, and yeah, and I played
that's
it with.
the co-op, right? The co-op one.
Yeah, the cooperative one, and that really hooked me because I still think it does. I love the books, I love the story, the movies, and all that kind of stuff, and I really got hooked because it tells the story so great and gives you it transports the feeling so wonderfully that you at the end for us, we're not the best players on the planet. So for us, it is always a lot of tension, and we really feel like Sam and Frodo who put the ring into the Mount
when you
of
say
Doom.
when you say us, you say you and your wife, or
Me and my boys actually.
I
My,
see.
my son, we when we started to play, he's 9 years old. He was 9 years old at that time, and my nephew who lives with us played with us. So yeah, and we discovered this game together, and it was very good because at that age it was good to have something cooperative where they had to work together.
Together. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and the immersion of the game is great, and there's one card in there which I really love. It's Gollum, and he has four items. Three of them are very very good and very very useful, but at the same time you have to roll the dice and see if something bad happens. And I think this, it's so simple, but it really reflects how Gollum as a character works, that he has this great fortune. He can get you through the swamp, but yeah, you have to roll the dice at the end. And that really impressed me that this is possible in board games to transport that kind of feeling.
Feeling. Yeah. So uh, let's move forward a bit and let's get into this. Let's say into the job part of what you do. Um, is it hard? I have a question here. It says, and I think you can touch it with this one. Is it hard to talk to publishers? Now you are established, but at the beginning of your career, yeah, you got that title, but sometimes it's not that easy to go from the first title to the second title to illustrate the second title and then go to the third. Now you have a body of work, but until a certain moment in your life, you had your uncertainties. How was it? Was it hard to go to the second title and then the third?
Mm, no, actually, I think at that time, I don't know how it is today. We have um, much more illustrators, I believe, and I see so many good illustrations on Board Game Geek. This is really, yeah, intimidating sometimes, and so. But in those days. Uh, I sound like an old man. It wasn't actually a problem because I made a good job with every good job you did. You had a very good reason to be hired again, and so I put in all the effort to get there. Um, I think I'm easy to work with because I don't mind changing things, and because it's so difficult to it's a creative process, and it's very usual that things change,
Change,
even
yeah.
though you probably done the finished illustration. Things can change, and but I'm easy with that, and I like drawing, so it doesn't matter to me. And so I think I'm easy to work with, and I like dates, I like deadlines, and I keep them. That's something the publishers like as well. And so yeah, and that so it wasn't very hard to get the next projects, but I was very lucky because then very soon the games I was showed or I was assigned to, they were really good games. For example, Pillars of the Earth. I don't know if you
Yeah,
recall this one.
of course I
I
do. We have a
yeah,
playthrough on the channel.
I really like it a lot, and it was a very good game, and it was very new at that time. Worker placement. There weren't very much worker placement games at that time, and so my illustration benefited from it. It was if the
Yeah.
game would have been, like then maybe no one else would have recognized it that it was painted in a nice way, but because the game was good, that 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 was a big benefit for
Big
me.
benefit, yeah. So you practically went into illustrating all of these. I would call them classics today. Let's go through them a little bit. So it's Stone Age, is Pillars of the Earth. This one I have right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's Castles for All Seasons. Um, Let me think what else. There are certainly many more. So, was it? Let's go into this discussion. Was it hard, or the designers wanted you, the publishers wanted you? How? What was the relationship there?
Mm, I don't know if I get the question. What?
The question is, because you have created this long line of good games, which were where the artwork manages to make the game even better. From then on, was it a relationship with the publishers? Was it a relationship, or which one did you find yourself be wanted by publishers, by designers more, or it
Mm,
because in the end it's a networking medium. And I'm trying to get to this relationship between publisher and artist, or designer and artist. Is it a color? Did sometimes publishers wanted you, or sometimes designers wanted you? How did you end up doing the next projects?
mm. Usually the publishers approached me and wanted me for the next game. Um, Through the years, I met a lot of designers, Stefan Feld, Rüdiger Dorn, Michael Rieneck, a lot of them. But usually it's that the publisher asks me to join a
Uh,
new
uh,
game,
a
a
new
new
game.
project. Yeah.
I'll make a parallel with films. Usually, a director likes to work with the same the same director of photography, because it's a symbiosis there. What one sees can help the other make a better film. Um, uh, do you have? That's why I ask if at some point were designers which asked for you specifically, or it is a like in the 1930s and in American cinema, the publisher or the producer is the one who dictates who does this or that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe designers brought me up to the table. I don't know, but usually
The
the
public.
editors ask, and yeah, they are the ones I work with because it's always good to have an editor instead of the designer himself, because the editor sees the whole project, and the designer. I'm a designer myself, so I know that a designer sees everything through his
His
glasses and his view, and but the editor has to see the
the
project
whole
as a
project.
whole. Yeah,
And is it hard? Do you work directly, as you explain it? You work directly with the editor, not directly with the designer.
yeah,
It goes through a middleman, practically.
yeah.
Okay. Um, do you find it hard? You said you're pretty adaptable. Do you find it hard to give up on things, or do you keep? You want to keep certain things, or in the art or in the illustration. Maybe the illustration sometimes is too much. Maybe it's sometimes it's better to be less, and so on and so forth.
Mm. No, I'm totally easy with that. Usually, I have some sketches before, for example, for a cover art, and I start with, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 sketches, and there's always one sketch I like a lot. It's never the one that got chosen. It's always the other one. So I don't mind anymore. No, I think you have to be a professional, and I'm no artist in that way. It's not like I'm doing my thing, and maybe you like it or you don't like it. I'm doing a job, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in
Yeah,
a way that they can depend on me, and they come to me with a question, how can it look like? Or we would like to have it to look like this, or to create an atmosphere like that. And I have to come up with a solution. And so by this, I would never want to be the problem, like
yeah,
it's only
yeah.
this, that sometimes I try to say, okay, this one's probably better, but they never listen, and that's fine. In the end, it's always fine.
So, within boundaries, do you think you can manifest creative freedom within those boundaries? Do you find that creative freedom?
Yeah. Um, you see, as a kid, I go back to the beginning. Sometimes I found it very hard to, I wanted to draw, but I didn't know what to draw. There was this blank white paper, and I wanted to draw, but I didn't know what. And I really love it as an illustrator that you get some boundaries, that you get some frame in which you can be creative. Like we have a, a a game with spaceships, but we don't want to look at like Star Trek or whatever. So find a solution, and we wanted to have some warmth to it, probably, and not being too technically, and find a solution. And that's what I really really like about the job. So they tell me what to draw, more or less, but in that, in
In
that,
that space,
yeah.
you'll try to be as free as you can.
Yeah,
Um,
it's even better. I think really,
yeah, I
it,
agree with
it
you.
it helps you to be creative, to have some sort of boundaries, because if it's all free and it's all possible, and there are no boundaries at all, so why bother? So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. You need to have, you need to have someone who told. And I think, did you have this problem of someone not knowing what to ask from you?
Mm, ye- Sometimes, but actually, I think as an editor, it's really difficult. I cannot imagine how it is not to just sketch your idea, and they have to find words for some things that are really hard to describe. And so I really sympathize with them because they have the hard job. They can't draw. Luckily, they can't draw, so they need me. And and they have to describe what they want, or and then I draw what I understand from their words, and yeah, possibly I did get it wrong, or they didn't quite manage to say what they wanted. And but I think it's not easy to get there, and to find really what they wanted to see in the end. So it's uh it's maybe a lot of back and forth, and that's fine. That's part of the
The creative
creative.
process, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you, because
If I excuse me, but if I can say that, I don't know if it's a question anyway later on, but that's why personally I'm not afraid of AI graphics, because I don't think that the editors or the designers do have all the answers already. They sit there and they think of a cover art, for example, but they probably don't have the whole vision. So they need me or other illustrators who can solve this problem. So that's why I'm not afraid of AI.
yeah, my take on AI is the fact that AI cannot do something that humans do, which is draw if you're gonna tell him to draw a line, he's going to draw a perfect line. A human will not be able to draw a perfect line, and this is where I think humans, where we are different from the AI, because an unperfect line is with what it creates warmth that normally an AI cannot do.
Mm.
All AI can do is mush things from different spaces and create something new. Um, but yeah, and you're right. I wanted to touch a little bit on on AI, but we have touched
Sorry.
before it.
Yeah.
Um, when we talk about illustration, or when we talk about artwork in a game, we don't talk only artwork. We talk user interface integration. We talk about how we can create, how graphic design and illustration go hand in hand to create a product that is easy to read, easy to a product that can be that can satisfy a person on the whole level, on all levels. Do you do the graphic design, or it comes to you from someone else and then you try to integrate it in your artwork?
No, usually it it changes from time to time, but usually I do the graphic design as well, which means icons, for example, or frames for a card or whatever, that usually I do myself. But there has been other games where it was outsourced to someone else. So it's better to have it all on my desk, I think, because yeah, it's related to everything. So it's kind of difficult to have it done by someone else, probably. But it might work. I don't know.
So you usually do everything. You do everything. And there are different styles of integrating the user interface into the artwork. You can create artwork and then on top of it you create another layer of the graphic design. or you can try to integrate it in the original artwork, which is harder to do, but I myself find it more satisfying. And you try to do that as much as you can in your games. It was um, it was a direction which you wanted to get, which you wanted to do, or how did that happen?
Mm, I think it really depends on the game. There are games where it is simply not possible or not even good to do that. And that's maybe the main thing I can say about game illustration. You have to have a look at the game and what is special about this game and how can it be, how can you illustrate it in a perfect way to serve this designed idea as best as possible. And there are reasons to integrate the graphic stuff on the illustration level so that it really is kind of organic and everything fits together.
Yeah,
But I think there are other games where it isn't a good choice, because if you integrate the game relevant part in the illustration, then at some point all the illustration can be relevant, and you make it the game hard to read because does that mean anything? That figure over there, this figure over there has a meaning, and this one over there, no, it's just looking good and just being nice. So I'm illustrating board games, yeah, about 20 years now, and that's the thing that really kept me by doing it because it's if you want to do it good, you have to have an open mind whenever there is a new game on your desk, and you have to play. Or in my opinion, you have to play it. You have to find out what's special about it, and try to serve this game idea as possible, as good as possible as you can possibly do.
do yeah,
And that's what makes it interesting because what worked in one game probably doesn't work in the next one.
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You have illustrated games. We're going to go into the designing area in a second, but talking about Andor is a co-op game. You have illustrated competitive games, drier Euro games like Terramara, for example. Do you? What's the approach? How everything starts? What's the approach to every project? How does everything start for you?
It's very different with each project. Terramara, for example, I met the editor um, um, and we played the game, but the setting was already set. It was clearly that it was some Stone Age kind of game, and that yeah was clear from the beginning. But other games, it might be different. That you visit the publisher and the theme isn't really found yet, and you can make up your own mind or get bring your own ideas into it, what it could possibly be, and so it's very different. And again, when you played it, you have an idea of the game, and you can talk about its components and how they're um, built the most practical. I remember with Quint games, we did Agra, which is
Yep.
a very complex game, I think, and we have this sort of ramp, where you have the king, or I don't know the
Yeah.
word
Yeah.
for him, and you have the stones, and it was a very nice idea to put them, in some sort of stairs where you can go towards the throne. The stones get more worth more the closer they get to the throne. And that was an idea that was developed during one of those meetings. And yeah, that's actually the approach to be there, to play the game, to talk about it, and to create a space where you can have stupid ideas and
Yeah, that's the freedom practically.
no one does mind, and you can, and you don't mind as well. You don't stick to it if it's a stupid idea and forget it, and find the best solution for the game, as I've mentioned before.
Yeah, it's a process, isn't it? Do you one more thing which I wanted to ask you? Does the artwork get play tested?
Uh, I hope so. I can say that, for example, in Pillars of the Earth, yeah, we played with my sketches. So I played the game first at the first time, and then we played it again, and there were already my sketches on the board, which is very helpful because you can see how the stuff you imagined works in real life, and yeah, that you have to do. Or I illustrated a lot of exit games, and those really have to be play tested, those illustrations, because it's all about hints
Yeah,
and riddles, and if you point it out too much, it's too obvious, and then you have to probably reduce it or have it a bit more shady so that people don't realize the hint right away, and then play test it again, and so yeah, it's a lot of back and forth to find the right solution for these.
and if you watch closely, if you participate in these playtesting sessions, do you watch closely how players react to what you draw and how you draw it?
Yeah, yeah. And for example, with Pillars of the Earth, because I mentioned it before, you have the all the locations on the board, and actually the board is kind of a list, and
Yeah, yeah,
you just at the end of the round you just go, yeah, the cathedral, and then this one, and then the quarry,
yeah.
and before one of those playtesting, those locations were uh, different,
Different. Yeah,
and we had a card which says, okay, now you go to the cathedral, now you go to the quarry, and while we play tested it, I said, if it's possible that it still fits to the novel, maybe we could arrange them clockwise so that you can just go around the clock and get all these locations at the end of the round, and that worked pretty well, and that was something that came during the play testing.
playtesting. Yeah. So in the end, playtesting is important not only for the designers, also for the artists. Um,
That's what I would say, but I don't want to say it in general. If other designers are illustrators are capable of doing it without playing it, it's great, and I wouldn't say it's necessary. It's just the way I do it.
um, so you were an established at this point. I think 2010 is the year. 11? I don't know. When? No, sorry. 2013 is the year that you took the world by surprise and came out with a design of your own, which is called Legends of Andor, which is a cooperative game that created also how should I put it, some false hopes for certain players who just wanted to kill monsters. But you have but you have created a game that is a puzzle in itself. It has a bit of a Euro game down there. How did you say, you know what, I don't mind trying this designing shtick?
Um, yeah, Legends of Endor happened because I wanted to play something fantasy-like with my kids. and as I mentioned before, we played Lord of the Rings, and but you know, great. The game is really great, but we wanted to. We actually wanted to be the heroes, to have this role play aspect, and so really getting into that role, and that didn't happen. And I couldn't find. Maybe there was one, but I couldn't find a game that was good for us, that fit to us, because it could not have been too complicated, and I'm not really interested in reading long rules, and the kids weren't as well. So I wanted to have some yeah, kind of family fantasy game, and so we started to create our own. And so Rainy Holiday, and we yeah, I had some cardboard with me, so I painted the castle, and the kids painted the forest, and we started to develop our own game, and it, accompanied us in every holiday, and when we were done, I remember that I had to think about it all the time, because yeah, it really, there was something to it. And yeah, and at one point I showed it to my editor of Cosmos, with whom I did manga in 2004. So so I showed him the prototype of Legends of Andor, and he really liked it. He saw that there was something unique. But at that point, it was just one adventure. We were always fighting against the dragon, and he had the idea to have it Legends of Andor.
Legend.
So we have different threads every time we play, and that was a very interesting approach. And I remember when we did it, we were afraid that it wouldn't have enough replayability, because you play the story once, and then when you defeated the dragon in the end,
That's
you're
about
done
it.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you can see today, no one cares. If they had a great time in 5 evenings or some more, then it's fine. But at that time, it was really special to have a game that tells a story, and when you're done with it, you're practically done with it.
Yep. Yep. And do you like putting on the designer's hat?
Excuse me?
Do you
What?
like putting on the designer's hat?
Yeah, that was a great experience, and as I mentioned before, I'm usually I'm doing my job, but in with Android, it's kind of this thing where I can decide a lot, and yeah, and make things, like maybe other designers wouldn't do it because of mathematical reasons or whatever, but I do it because I like it that way, and that feels great. For example, you have a magical potion in Andor, and it costs a lot of money to get that potion, a lot of gold, and at the front of the tile, you can see the bottle, and it's full. And when you used it once, you flip it
You
on
flip.
its
Yeah.
backside, and it's only half empty. And if you use it again, it's gone. And out of mathematical reasons, it might be better to, because it's so expensive, to use it more times. But out of optical reasons, it's fun to have it, being used once and another time, and it's gone. And so to make decisions like that on my own, that was really, really fun.
So did the designer, the Michael, the designer, fought with Michael, the artist, or no? No,
No,
no
the
fighting there.
artist, the artist had to do what the designer told him to do. And he was really cheap, I painted the backside of the board, and it was all he painted everything.
um, yeah. And Andor continued. It had the first expansion. Now I think a year ago or so, you had the second expansion of it, and the third one, if I'm not wrong. So there are 4 games now in the series, and you also did Robin Hood. And do you like doing these cooperative adventure games? Let's call them like this.
Uh, you know, I can say that I made a third game recently, and I can say that whenever I do have the feeling there has to be a new game, I wanted to do something that probably hasn't been done before, and the approach to the games were always very different because with Andor, it was like that was the game I wanted to play with my kids, and we won Kennerspiel des Jahres and Game of the Year in France and Spain, and was really still really successful. But I also read the opinions that probably some people had a problem with all the material because we got families to play it and they were kind of overwhelmed by the material. And so that was the initial idea for Robinhood to say, okay, I want to have an adventure game, but it has to be very easy to access. It has to be very easy to get into the Sherwood Forest, and that's where the tiles that are implemented in the board, that were put
Yeah.
in the board already, um, that's where they were born because I didn't wanted people to say, okay, you have those tiles over there and they have to be put there. You have tiles here, you have to put them over there. I wanted to have them in the board already so that it just pop out the board, put on the figures and start playing. And so that was the idea. So um, yeah, I don't remember the question anymore. It's so long ago, but I really like doing
Doing
this stuff.
these types of games, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you see yourself doing, I don't know, more complex games than the ones that you already do? Do you have the capacity, not the capacity, the necessity? Do you feel the need to do a more complex game,
Mm, no,
competitive one? I'm talking
uh,
about a, a more
I don't
competitive.
need to do a competitive game.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
my last game is a competitive game. It's Dragon Keepers. I don't know if you heard of
Yeah,
it.
it's a smaller game. It's a smaller card
Yeah,
game, if I know.
it's a card game, and and that there was the approach. I had a very simple card mechanism where you can not only draw cards from a pile, you can put them back on and manipulate the piles, and the piles, the backsides of the cards display how many dragons you can store in the game, and you can, as I said, take cards, but you can also put them back on the piles and manipulate the piles in a way that it fits best for you. So that's kind of a uh, uh, yeah, one funky mechanism, and I wanted to build a game around that.
Around
But
it, I
yeah,
see.
but it shouldn't be, if Andor is Stairway to Heaven, this one is rather like a pop song, you can play it after you played something really big, and that was a very interesting experience to not tell a story, to really reduce yourself to a mechanism which I haven't done before.
I see. Um, I have a question here. It's a lot of the games that you illustrated have historical themes. Any advice on how to do the research? You do
Mm.
research. You do a lot of research. Do you try to be as historically correct as you need to be?
Yeah, it's different from game to game. I remember Brügge for Hans im Glück. Um, where I had the chance, because it's not too far away from my city, to grab my wife and have a holiday, a short holiday in Brugge,
Oh,
and
not
see
a
for
bad way
us.
to spend a small
Yeah,
holiday, isn't it?
and see for ourselves, and that was really great, because what the internet didn't tell you was that some of those really important buildings, they were right next to each other, and I didn't, if you have a photograph of each building, you don't really recognize that they are so close to each other. So that was really, really good, and I found out that they have very lots
Good.
of special stones in their doors, and
Yeah.
so I used that on the cover art. So yeah, that's perfect. But in terms of accuracy, it depends on the publisher as well. For example, the there is a tower on the Brugge cover, and this yes, this the top of the building, which is the iconic thing, wasn't built at that time where the game takes place. So it would have been accurate to say no. We just show the cathedral or the building without this iconic
Yeah.
tower. But the publisher said, no, no, let's put it on, and it is like it is. It's just a game, But I had the same thing with another game where they wanted to have the historical correct state of the building. So um, yeah, in the early days, I went to the library. Today, it's more Google research, and yeah, being being there is I can really
Also
recommend
helps.
I can really recommend that, but does not always work.
um, and yeah, I think most of the things that I have asked you. Now I want to go into the a few more questions. Can I ask you what is fun to you? What is fun to you?
You mean in general or
In
in games
general,
or?
yes, yes. Yeah, in games, yeah, not in general. In
Okay.
games, of course. In gaming, what you
Yeah.
find fun? Because it's different for different people. For me, fun is, for example, is playing a very heavy Euro game,
Mhm.
economical Euro game, and getting on and trying to solve that puzzle. For me, that's fun. For a lot of
Mhm.
people, that's not fun. That's work. You know, so
Yeah,
it's
I can get it.
different strokes for different folks, as the words say. So, what is fun to you?
Uh, I think board games are really special. I think they are sometimes some kind of art form which is underestimated, because it can do so many great things. And the first thing that came into my mind right now was we had uh, we played top 10. I don't know if you know it, where you have some weird um, some weird things you have to rate. You know,
Okay, okay.
you are a superhero. Are you a number one, or are you a top 10 mega superhero, and that kind of thing. And people have to say something or make some play act. They can't say anything. They have to act like it. So it's a party game. But we had this with the new girlfriend of my son,
Okay.
and it, there was so much tension, because we didn't know each other that well at that point, and you couldn't know, how much can I do, how much fun is allowed at that point. And it was great tension, and we had so much fun with it. And it's something that's how she entered our family, and
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
great way to, you know.
I
If
can.
you have the father-in-law to do weird stuff, in a board game, it's yeah. So that's what I like about board games. They can challenge us and get us into really uh, great situations uh, you don't imagine. You couldn't imagine that
Yeah,
things happening.
yeah. You can with games you can really and you can see people.
Yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
it's, I like movies as well, but in a movie you're amazed by the ideas that they have and you get out of the cinema and you talk about it.
yeah.
It's nice. But while doing a board game, it's with Andor, for example, I play tested it some days ago, and it was great. There was so much talking, there was so much interaction, and you have to work together, and that's just amazing.
It's some board games. In board games, usually you have to create everything.
Hmm.
It relies a lot on the people who are at the
Yep.
table.
Yeah.
In films, it's more of let's call it an intellectual, if you see it this way, or a fun way. You get whatever it is told to you, and then you interpret it or reinterpret it. It's a bit the same with literature or theater. There are different, and this is why I think that the board games are a form of art.
Yeah, and it really gets, what you just said, that people have to get into it, and for example, code names. This game is so great. It's unbelievably great game.
I
But
totally
if
agree with you.
Yeah, but
Totally.
if you play it with the wrong
People,
people,
it
it
will be
can
flat.
be terrible. It can
Yeah,
be a terrible
yeah,
waste of time because they're just giving a hint for one card and the game is dead, And
yeah,
but that, it depends on the people who play, and that's something a movie doesn't do. And I
yeah.
don't know, Hermann Hesse is a good book, has good books to read. It doesn't matter if you are a good reader or whatever. So that's really special about games.
Um, and what could you tell me? What briefly? How is a day in your life?
Uh, well, nothing special. I'm having a coffee in the morning and get to the
Do
co.
you wake up really in the morning, or you sleep
Uh,
late
it's very different. It just depend on how late it was the evening before,
before?
and no, but there's nothing special. Just yeah.
Oh, it happened again. Oh no, it happened again. 1 second.
Okay, are you back
Okay.
there?
We're back. We're back. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, uh, okay. Do you work? You're a night owl. Do you work late?
Just if I have to, if there is a deadline and the next morning, then I can be
You have
an
to.
owl.
Yeah. Um. Now, do you have a favorite game?
Um, well, mm,
Tough question.
yeah, actually, no, I wouldn't say there's a favorite game.
No.
There are a lot of games which I really like, but I couldn't say
You
which
yeah.
one I like best.
But and do you have a most played game? A game that you played a lot outside the ones that you did for yourself or for
Um, yeah, lately we played a lot of top 10, really. Mm, what else? It's a lot of prototypes lately. Yeah,
code names, lots of code names.
code
Um,
names as well. Yeah.
do you have a favorite designer?
Uh, I really like the games of Michael Rieneck. Um, Rüdiger Dorn is a very good one, I believe. Um, Stefan Feld, I do like very much personally, but the others I like personally as well. So yeah, I
Uh,
don't know.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite artist in
Mm,
the board game industry? Someone who you like
um,
a lot?
yeah, I really think that I don't know if I pronounce him correctly, but Miguel Coimbra.
Miguel Coimbra, yes. Miguel
Yeah,
Coimbra,
yeah,
yes. You
yeah.
like him?
I think he's just astonishing. He's just so great, and I envy his
His style?
technique and
Technique?
his style.
Yeah.
It's really something special. And Vincent Dutré is great as well. I think he's the best illustrator uh, worldwide right now for board games. Yeah, I I think so.
Yeah, well, let me beg to differ. um, now I finish with this set of questions, and it is one more question. Would you want something to add, something that I might not have asked you?
Mm, no, I think it's very kind of you that you took the time to ask me those questions, and it's um, it's great that you do that thing. I mean, you have a job to do as well, so thanks a lot for preparation and setting up this meeting, and
Don't
thanks a
hurry.
lot.
Don't hurry. We have one more thing to do before we end, and that is
Okay.
my questionnaire, which as I always say, it's from it derives from the Proust questionnaires. It was invented by this questionnaire was made by Bernard Pivot on French television. It was taken by James Lipton on American television, and then I stole it from there. And the questionnaire is: what is your favorite word?
Ambivalence.
Ambivalence. That's interesting. What is your least favorite word?
Hate.
Hate. What turns you on creatively, emotionally, spiritually?
No, coffee.
I don't know, maybe a good book, maybe a good film, maybe coffee helps if it's coffee. Um, what turns you off?
I don't know. I really can't say. Maybe no. I don't
I don't know, maybe negativity, maybe there must be something that turns you off creatively or in one way or another.
know.
No?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. Now this is a favorite of the people. If you have, if you don't, you don't. What is your favorite curse word?
I don't have any.
None.
And I don't want, I probably have one, but I don't want to share.
So you do have one. So you are human,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
you don't want to say it.
No.
No. Okay. It was. I mean, everyone had a lot of fun with this question. So you're sure you don't want to take it out to the world? Okay. What is your favorite drug?
My favorite what?
Drug. Drug.
Um, I really like coffee.
You really
I
like
really like coffee.
it? What sound or noise do you love?
That's something I never thought about. Is I don't know, birds chirping, I don't know.
Yeah, it came, it's what it comes. What sound or noise do you hate?
Chainsaws.
So, which profession outside the one that you already do would you like to attempt?
Oh, I wouldn't like to attempt it.
No.
I'm very happy where I am, but I really envy musicians. I have no ear for music anyway, but or to make music. I love listen to music, but I really envy this people who can improvise and play instruments. I really think this is the best of all art forms to, you know. So I
Yeah.
don't want to attempt this, but this is the best.
And what profession would you not like to attempt at all?
Well, actually, I don't know. I'm not good with practical things. I could, if I would have become a Thatcher as I planned, we probably would not do this interview anyway because I wouldn't survive it. So yeah.
So a Thatcher, you wouldn't want to be that one. That
That-
okay. And my last question is, it's an if, a big if. If heaven exists, what would you expect God to say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You took the wrong exit.
And on this question, we end this interview here. I want to thank you a lot, Mr. Michael Menzel, for coming on today and for taking the time to do this interview with
Thank
me.
you, Bogdan. Thank you for preparation and all the questions was really, really nice.
I hope you had a good time. I
It
will
was fun.
kindly ask you to not close the connection. I will finish it and then we'll close it afterwards. So this was, as you see, if you see our playthroughs, you will and on certain games where Mr. Menzel does his shtick, you will see that we take it apart and you see why we say it's good. We like doing this. We like taking apart games, and this interview was one of the interviews which I wanted to do for a long, long time because, as I started, we really like what Michael Menzel does, and it was a great honor to have him here. It was a lot of fun doing this interview. Again, I will thank him, and I'll thank you. I'll thank everyone who came and watched live. I'll thank anyone who come and watches after the fact. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy this long form content, it will help us to do what we try to do, to get to at least 1,000 subscribers. It will be easier to talk to publishers this way. So if you like what you see, again, like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I say what it says here. It says play a lot, play loads, as you Brits say, have fun. And until next time, bye bye, fine folks, wherever in the world you are.